Hi, I'm Georgina Young, Field Technical Manager looking after grass weeds for Syngenta. We're here at the Great Tew Estate and I'm joined by Colin Woodward, who's the farm manager. And we're just going to have a little bit of a chat about grass weeds and how they overcome them here. So typically, what are the biggest grass weed issues that you have on the farm here?
Black grass will be our number one, followed closely behind by brome on our lighter land.
Okay.
So we have some wild oat issues as well. So, but they're our main grass weed problems.
In terms of blackgrass, have you adapted the rotation in recent years to kind of try and help overcome that? What types of things are you doing?
So we used to grow second wheat. We've taken the second wheat out. We grow hybrid barley as a second cereal. We also grow spring crops, so spring barley, spring beans. So we in the past and at the moment as well we grow a double spring break of spring barley followed by spring beans before we go into winter wheat. Sometimes we would just break it with spring beans, but we've integrated spring barley into the rotation because of the blackgrass issues that we've had.
And how do you typically establish your winter crops in terms of timing of establishment, cultivations, that type of thing?
So we would minimally cultivate with a one-pass cultivator straight after the combine. We generally would leave that for 4 to 6 weeks before we would plant the next crop. We'd let the soil settle and we would try and spray off at least twice before we plant the crop with glyphosate. We also plant quite late, so we plant in the middle of October for winter wheat. Hybrid barley a little bit forward, say the last week of September, just because we've got the competitive nature of the barley. The wheat, we try and leave as long as we dare to the middle of October. After that, I lose faith in the weather. So we try and move the soil at least amount that we can when we're drilling. Yeah. We've got a horse drill with narrow coulters, so we're reducing the amount of soil movement to obviously stop the blackgrass germinating. Control our compaction. We've recently gone into a 10-metre control system. So at harvest, we're keeping everything to the tram lines. So we're reducing our cultivations outside of that, and then trying to reduce the amount of carbon that we're burning because of the reduced cultivation. In an ideal world, eventually we would actually be able to direct drill, hopefully, with the fact that we're controlling our compaction to the tram lines. So yeah, we also do our own drainage as well. So if we get any areas where we've got problem drainage, we would start again with the drainage and try and get that water off the field, the least amount of cost, obviously. So, but that's where we find our biggest problem with blackgrass is poorly drained fields.
How far away do you think that direct drilling is for you here in terms of you know, building that resilience and kind of having the ability to do that without taking a step backwards?
On our light land, I think we're there now. But on our heavy land, I don't think we're there at the moment, just because of the combination of the weather pattern we've just experienced the previous 2 winters, and raising our organic matter levels up. So when we use a disc drill, we physically can close a slot with the amount of organic matter on the surface. So I think it's a slow progression for us, and we're getting there. I'm hopeful that in the next sort of 5 years we would make good progress to get to that point. So
I think that's probably the best way, isn't it? Kind of step by step, get the land in the right condition before you start trying, because otherwise then you're going to go backwards with things like weed control, and also in terms of what you said, crop establishment there. If you can't close the slots, you're leaving seed exposed on the surface. That's not ideal for your preems. And in terms of kind of spray strategies, are you typically doing a pre-em? Are you a pre followed by a peri or post-em in the autumn?
Yeah, we use pre-ems generally over everything. unless we've got a problem with the seedbed or the seed's exposed to the chemical. So we would normally do Avadex as a pre-em with the sprayer at the same time. We've got an Avadex machine on the Bateman sprayer. So we'd normally go with a flufenicet base with DFF and prosulfocarb as a pre-em. Sometimes we do integrate pendimethalin in there as well. We would then, on our worst land, put another, so we put 240 grams of flufenicet on as a pre-em. In our worst case scenarios, we would put another 240 grams of flufenicet plus some pendimethalin or some more DFF as a post-em. So normally about a month afterwards, so when the crop's up. So
and all of that's weather permitting, of
absolutely.
course, as well.
And we've had such a kind autumn this last autumn, compared with the 2 previous autumns. So we've actually got a post-em on over all our crops, all our cereal crops this autumn. The previous 2 autumns we didn't manage that, so in fact we were lucky to get some of the pre-ems on. It was so wet in the back end of October the previous autumn, so yeah.
Brilliant, that's great, thank you very much.
Thank you.